1, 2, 3, 4.
Screen time, screen time, screen time, screen time.
It's my screen time too.
Screen time, screen time.
Hello, and welcome to It's My Screen Time Too, the podcast where two moms review the best and worst in children's programming, from Netflix reboots and YouTube shorts to Disney classics and Pixar blockbusters. We watch, you listen. Find out what you can tolerate watching for family movie night, what to avoid altogether, and what you'll want to watch alone voluntarily. I'm Deborah.
And I'm Katie.
And I have 3 kids. Tony is 13, and Libby and Nate are 10.
And I have 2 kids. Jay is 8, and by the time you hear this episode, Kenny will be 5.
Oh my gosh.
I know, right? They are pretty stinking adorable, even as they break our hearts by getting older every day. We like to start our episodes with a quick story about how awesome or occasionally awful our kids are, because in addition to being witty and incisive pop culture consumers, we are moms too. Deborah, what have your adorable kids been up to this week?
Moments ago, they made up a game in the backyard. We bought earlier this summer they're called like reusable water balloons, but really they're just like these plasticky things that magnet together. And so instead of feeling guilty for buying water balloons that you just use once and then throw away, you can feel guilty for these things that will last maybe a season and then throw away.
I still think that's better, though.
It's slightly better, and they were just playing like baseball with them. This is why they're not going to last. So they're like hitting them with a styrofoam inside baseball bat, so then it would like explode upon impact.
Nice.
And I just love it when they come up with games that all 3 can play together, getting along, and those moments are rare. So I like to cement it in my memory.
I'm just sorry for pulling you away from watching this moment, because if it were my kids, I would be 100% sure that by the time I got done recording this podcast, the cooperation would be over.
Oh, the cooperation's already over. It's always fleeting. You have to enjoy it while it happens. How about, has your birthday boy done anything cute lately?
Yes, it just so happens that I do have a story about the birthday boy. So I am a terrible sucker in the car, and I often let them pick what we listen to, which means that we end up listening to a lot of novelty Minecraft music in the car when we're driving places. My husband has taken a very strict line where they do not get to dictate what is on the radio in the truck, and he always plays the 2000s Sirius country station. So the boys are just listening to early 2000s country all the time, which I had never thought of as a problem until the other day. Kenny says, "Mom, I'm pretty good at drinking beer." And I said, "What? You're what now?" "I'm pretty good at drinking beer." And through some conversation, it comes out that he had been listening to this song, and that's the chorus of the song. "I'm pretty good at drinking beer." That, it seems like a pretty standard country music trope. There are a lot of songs about beer. And
totally.
it had never occurred to me before that my kids would be parroting those lyrics. So I think I just need to get him better at like singing it when he says it. So he's not just approaching people and saying, "I'm pretty good at drinking beer." Because if he sings it, they'll be less likely to think I'm giving beer to my 5-year-old.
That's funny. I remember when Tony was like around that age, he picked up a song. It's like Margot Price, one of those kind of alt country ladies. He would sing, "I put a hurtin' on the bottle."
That is possibly better. That is great. All right, should we move on to screen time in the news?
Yes, this is a fun one.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a follow up from our Barbie episode a couple weeks ago. And we touched on the tremendous box office numbers that Barbie was getting in our episode, but we didn't exactly have the full story then. So we are discussing a July 23rd Variety article by Rebecca Rubin with the headline Greta Gerwig makes box office history as Barbie scores biggest opening weekend ever for female director. The article cites 155 million for the opening weekend total, but I just looked it up before we hopped on the pod here, and according to a more recent Axios article, it actually got all the way up to 162 million. You know what this means, Deborah?
Greta Gerwig gets to direct more movies.
Well, yes, please. Yes to all of that, but also Barbie beat Mario's opening weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which feels kind of monumental because Mario has been killing it.
Totally. Yeah. I feel personally responsible for some of Gerwig's success because I bought tickets for like my whole family to see it when it first came out, and then I just saw it with friend of the pod Amy Patton, and the theater was still sold out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hmm.
So it's you and Julia for getting her tickets 3 days in a row.
Right.
Well, I don't know that I have so much more to say about this article other than it makes me happy. How about you?
I love it. I think that I'm just so happy for Greta Gerwig and everybody that worked on the movie. I think it's really feels really redeeming for them, probably, and rewarding, and just gives them, I don't know, green lights for the future for doing other like amazingly creative and commercially successful projects.
Yeah, it's got to be so fraught to take on a project like Barbie, like an IP that is so huge that everybody knows, that everybody has complicated feelings about. Try to do something that's not just a straight ahead Barbie story, something that has maybe a little bit more depth and is maybe a little bit subversive, just not knowing until it happens how that's going to turn out, and then to have it go so spectacularly well is got to be pretty affirming.
Yeah, and we know it shouldn't be this way, but because Gerwig is a woman, she has to prove herself even more than she would if she were working as a man in the industry. So I'm happy for her success.
Do we have any follow up from our Barbie episode? I actually do.
Let's hear it.
I found my childhood Barbie dream house. Well, I mean, I didn't find the physical thing because I don't live in my
Ooh.
childhood home, but I figured out which one it was. Because if
Okay.
you remember, listeners, I was pretty peeved that it was not represented in the movie. But it is actually the 1979 cabin dream house. And I looked at a picture of it, and it just brought back all sorts of memories of making all the forts.
That's awesome. So, was it one of your older sisters? Because you weren't even born then
It had
when
to
it
have
came
been, yeah.
out. Okay, that's cool. So, should we talk into today's topic?
Should we talk into it? I'm ready. I'm ready to talk
Okay.
into some things.
Okay, we are reviewing World's Best, which is a PG movie that premiered on Disney Plus on June 23rd. We're so current lately. It clocks in at 1 hour 41 minutes, and it's directed by Roshan Sethi, a co-creator and writer on the long-running series The Resident, and director and writer of the COVID rom-com 7 Days. The script was written by Jamie King and Utkarsh Ambudkar. Ambudkar has been one to watch since his memorable turn in Pitch Perfect. We also liked his voice work in our review of Mira, Royal Detective, and Katie is a big fan of him on the CBS show Ghosts. This is the first writing project of his that we're aware of, but we know Jamie King from his work as a writer on the series Jessica Jones for Netflix. The film features original songs by Ambudkar and Charlie Wilder. The summary of the plot is a 13-year-old math prodigy Prem Patel can't deny his curiosity about the world of hip hop after discovering that his late father was an aspiring rapper. Why did we pick it? Because it's become a tradition for us to cover what would have once been called a Disney Channel original movie every summer. Last year we enjoyed Sneakerella, and this one looked maybe even better based on the trailer. And longtime listeners will know that Katie and I cannot give up an opportunity to watch a Disney musical
Mm-hmm.
or any musical, really.
Yeah, we'll take all kinds of musicals, please. So let's just orient ourselves quickly in what we've thought about some of those Disney originals we've watched in previous years that you just mentioned. We covered Sneakerella last year. We did all three of the Zombies movies, something that I insisted on, and I'm still quite proud that we accomplished. We did Teen Beach Movie way back in our early days. And I would argue that maybe even Better Nate Than Ever falls under this category. How optimistic or excited were you about this one based on how you felt about the previous ones we've watched?
Oh, they're always good, I think. They're always fun. They're usually like a pretty enjoyable watch for the whole family. And they're, oh, I don't know, I'm like always surprised by the like quality for something that's not a in theater movie.
I totally agree. I think it was a nice little brain break because last week we tackled so many weighty questions about the things we're ready to share with our kids, about having difficult questions with our kids, about PG-13 movies in the context of Barbie. And it was just nice to not even have to think for a second whether or not my kids would have a problem with this movie or whether or not I would encounter something problematic. The biggest question I had was, am I going to be able to convince my kids to nerd out as hard as I do about these Disney Channel musicals?
Hmm.
So, with that being said, did you like it?
I did like it, but I'm gonna have to disagree with you about the subject matter. And this is maybe like too depression Barbie of me, but it does feature a dead dad, which like the orphan plot in children's literature and children's media is serves a pretty well-defined purpose. This was a little bit different because this kid lives with his mom. The dad is dead. It's like still sad. He interacts with the ghost of his dad. I don't know. It didn't make me like uncomfortable from a child's perspective or like my kid's perspective, but it made me an adult because uncomfortable because like the whole time Prem is like exploring his dad's quote unquote career, which is like not a good career. I was like thinking, what legacy am I leaving for my children? Should I get hit by a car tomorrow? I've got like 160 episodes of this podcast they could listen to.
They would get to know you so well. That's very sweet.
So I guess for me, it made me think about my own mortality a little bit more than I like to on a regular day.
Wow, yeah, I cannot believe that that didn't even occur to me. I guess we had just done the like complicated dead dad conversation with the kids because we forced them to watch The Lion King a couple times before we went to Disney most recently.
Sure.
So I kind of felt like that was off my plate for the moment, but did you find yourself empathizing at all with the mother? Like, or was it just you were thinking of yourself in the father's place?
Oh, I was more thinking of myself in the father's place, but I did empathize with the mother too, because like she's just like, let's move on. Only look over the horizon. Don't dwell in the past. It's too sad.
That was kind of
Which
heartbreaking.
served the plot well, but also is like a very relatable thing as an adult to think about. Sorry to bring you down. What did you think of the concept and plot overall?
Well, it was obviously very sad, but I just think I'm too used to the orphan trope to be
Mm-hmm.
too affected by it. And at the time of the movie, Prem is 12 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've established that his dad died when he was 5.
Mm-hmm.
So he's lived the majority of his life without him. Not that it's not sad, but it's not like super fresh.
Recent.
So I
Yeah.
guess maybe that helped me feel less depressed about it. Well, we talked a little bit about your empathy levels with the grown-up characters. Do you want to talk more in depth about let's start with the mom. Like you said, she's dealing with grief, but she's very focused on only moving forward and it's kind of preventing her from having a real conversation with her son about his father in a way that he so clearly wants to have. Did you want to just like walk into the TV screen and have like a sit down chat with her the way that I did?
Yeah, totally. And she was also a little bit of a tiger mom with her focus on the Math Olympics, which it could have just veered a little bit to the left and been a whole different movie about like parental pressure and academic success. It didn't go that way, but it totally could have and would have still been a strong plot, I think.
Yeah, she was lucky because it seemed like Prem actually liked math and she wasn't just pushing him into doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of wanted to see like more flashbacks to their earlier like courtship. I thought the way they did it was clever, but clearly it was like a odd couple relationship where she's like the serious student, the good at math, the like medical career, and then he's like trying to be a freestyle rapper and a bartender. How did they make it work?
I think we also could have used not just more flashbacks to their courtship, but more flashbacks to their early family life. Be-
Yeah.
because, spoiler alert, but when they finally have a conversation, Prem and his mother, she's trying to reassure him that just because his father wasn't a successful rapper, he was a successful father, and that is what meant the most to him in his life. I just wish we'd maybe seen that a little bit more.
Yeah.
What did you think of the character of the father's ghost?
Oh, totally likable. I don't know how much of that is just like the actor's charisma because we've seen him in other things and he's just like delightful to watch.
Well, speaking of charisma, that little cutie patootie that played Prem, oh my goodness.
He was really good.
He was so great. I listened to a little television interview with Utkarsh Ambudkar about this movie, and he said that before filming this movie, that little boy didn't even rap.
Oh
They taught him
wow.
how to rap for the movie, and he does so great.
Yeah, I liked the little like music video imaginary sequences. But there were so many good characters, like even the pretty kind of peripheral characters like Mercedes, the high schooler who kind of gets Prem out of his shell, and then the other 12-year-old in the high school math class. Like, how much did you identify with her, Katie,
She
when she
played the
like
cello. Hello.
lugs her cello onto the bus and then pulls out her knitting?
I
And
felt
then
very
says, "My
seen.
family doesn't celebrate summer."
And Prem's other little friend who decides that he wants to be on the dance team and he just like throws his little bod into this love for dance and it is so cute.
He was really cute.
How does Prem become friends with like the nicest high schoolers ever? What high schoolers do you know that would like unabashedly adopt a 12-year-old to be their friend?
I don't, not when we were in high school, but I think somehow kids are like different about that social stuff. I think they're just nicer.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, because I think there's been a lot of like anti-bullying stuff kind of like woven into the American public school curriculum. And I think that's made kids better.
That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. Thank you for
Mm-hmm.
restoring my faith in humankind. Well, you mentioned the music videos that the father son did together. Maybe we can use that as a segue into the look of the movie in general.
Okay, all this stuff set in like the real world felt very stylized to show like the decaying American dream. It looked like kind of a crummy public school, and like the bus was falling apart. Like there's weeds growing up through the sidewalk cracks. Prame's house was kind of cluttered and messy. And we know Disney is deliberate about all of that. So then I thought like the music videos, like the fantasy part was really a good contrast to the real world stuff. And it looked very different from like the ones we've watched before. Well, not Sneakerella, but like Zombies, Teen Beach Movie. Everything's like really glossy.
Yeah, like the artificial environments.
Yeah. Oh, and can we just shout out the pie pajamas that Prem was wearing?
Yes, because I want them for myself.
Yeah, they had like the pie mathematical symbol and slices of pie. That was so cute.
It was cute. And there were a lot of adorable, like, father son outfits that they wore together. So it says a lot that the pie pajamas are the ones that we're calling out. What did you think about the writing?
Okay, I thought the script itself was a little bit thin, but I think like the caliber of the actors and whoever like however the directing was communicated like made it feel fuller than the script actually was.
What about the writing and the songs?
I loved the soundtrack, like the original hip hop songs that they played little excerpts of. Were you a Naughty by Nature fan?
No, I mean,
Were
Deborah,
you
when I
too?
was young, I was listening to show tunes. Like, this is so far outside my wheelhouse.
Okay, I loved Naughty by Nature. That was huge when I was a kid. And then the Skilo song, I wish, like I still have a lot of that memorized.
Oh,
Embarrassingly. I wanted to hear more of the like math raps
yes.
that Prem did. Those were really cute. So he like came up with some mnemonics for remembering, I don't know, like the volume of a cylinder or something. I wanted to have some more of those because those were really fun and could be like actually useful.
I was convinced until it went another direction that that is what he was going to do at the school talent show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was going to be a big success, and everyone was going to learn math, and it was going to be great. I really loved the scene where the ghost of his dad was explaining how rhymes in rap work in terms of math. I thought
Yeah.
that was so sweet.
That was cute. Yeah, and then they had like the animation to illustrate it too. That was good.
And when they filmed the father son music videos, it was so cute with them being in like their own little world. My only complaint was that I wanted more big group musical numbers. They did one like in the lunchroom and it was really fun and high energy and I wanted more of those, but that could just be me loving group dance.
Well, yeah, and that's what you get in like zombies
Yeah.
are those really fun dance sequence songs. Oh, was there any tie-in? Like I think it's the 50th anniversary of hip hop this year.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, I wondered if maybe that had something to do with like when this movie is coming out, but maybe it's just
Coincidence? I don't know.
hmm
And we can't look for interviews with any of the cast to tell us that because everyone's on strike.
hmm
We talked a little bit about wanting more flashbacks structurally. Uh, and I just want to call out explicitly the very cute flashback in which Prame's mother finally does tell him the story of meeting his father. And,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a flashback, but she's still herself, and Prame is with her in like the grungy bar where she goes and meets his dad, and he's like asking questions as it's happening. I thought that was really cute framing and really a treat to watch.
Yeah, that was very cute. I liked that a lot too.
I did have a question about Disney original musicals as a whole. You've got like these juggernaut series like The Descendants and to a lesser degree Zombies, which have found success, but when they're not like appointment broadcast, how do these things make a splash on streaming? Can they? Because this definitely was not on my radar. And I mean, the Disney algorithm should know me enough by now to know that it should have like promoted it when I logged on to Disney Plus, but it didn't do that.
I didn't even know anything about this until you brought it up for a show to or a movie to review. I don't know. I think the Descendants movies, well, maybe the first one wasn't promoted so much, but I feel like there were like lots of ads when those came out, like on the internet and hoopla on Disney when you logged in. I
Yeah,
don't know. There could definitely be more, and I feel like these movies are good. More people should watch them.
agreed, agreed. Well, we hope that we are helping you to discover them with our annual reviews of the Disney original movies.
What adult movie or show did World's Best compare to in your mind?
I did not cry during the scenes of this movie where Prem was interacting with the ghost of his dead dad.
Hmm.
A show for grown-ups in which I did cry virtually every time the teenager was interacting with the ghost of her dead dad was the recently wrapped Never Have I Ever. I swear,
Oh.
every single time the lead actress and the ghost of her dad were on screen, I was crying. Like
Oh, I never watched that show.
it was really fun. It had its problems, but on the whole, a super fun watch. 3 seasons on
Nice.
Netflix. How about you? What were you able to compare it to?
Okay, it made me think a little bit of Reservation Dogs because one of the characters has an absent dad who's like trying to be a rapper, I think, in Los
Oh, really?
Angeles. I think. Um, and his like childhood is very much influenced by the fact that his mom is the steady, stable one and the dad is absent. Not dead, but definitely not in his life. It also made me think a little bit of the movie The Namesake, based on one of my favorite novels of all time by Jhumpa Lahiri, because the father dies and like the main character has to deal with that, which brings me to my own. I'm just going to jump into my own gritty HBO reboot because the actor in The Namesake is from the Harold and Kumar movies.
Uh
So
huh.
if I were casting the gritty HBO reboot, I would cast him as Prame, and then I get to cast John Cho as I don't know, he could be like the other math prodigy, he could be like the dancing
I
friend.
want
Who
him as the
cares?
dancing friend. I think that would be great.
Who would you cast in the gritty HBO reboot of World's Best?
I think, well, the only thing I could think to do was be to just then cast Utkarsh Ambudkar as the grown version of Prem and have him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he was young, he decided he wanted to experiment with hip hop and with rapping, so he tried to pursue that. And then later, as an adult, he hasn't found so much success, so he decides to go back and like try and get his degree in mathematics. But he's a lot older than everyone else. He's like dealing with ageism on that side and like trying to prove he's still got the math chops. I think that would
Uh-huh.
be a fun way to kind of flip it on its head.
Nice. I also wanted to say I would cast Lizzo as Mercedes.
No, I want her to be the other math geek with the cello.
Oh, only flute.
Yes.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right, we have been really killing these gritty reboots lately.
Was it better when we were kids?
Actually, can I take a quick moment?
Yeah.
Okay, I totally forgot. Speaking of gritty HBO reboots, I have to give a huge shout out to my friend Sam, who actually was the one who gave me the idea of casting Jennifer Coolidge in my gritty HBO Barbie reboot. And I'm sorry, I totally forgot to call her out at the time that we did it. I just think we had already been recording for like an hour at that point, and I just forgot, flew out of my head. So thank you so much, Sam, for the amazing idea.
Well, she probably doesn't listen to the podcast anymore.
I know, I ruined it. Our one listener is gone.
Just teasing. I'm sorry too, Sam. I didn't know.
I know, I just let you think I was clever, but it wasn't me.
Okay, was it better when we were kids?
We've talked about this a lot when we talk about Disney original movies. We did not have this degree of diversity. I also feel like the quality was a lot schlockier in the Disney original movies when we were kids. Like, we're talking like Halloween Town and like that one where that boy becomes a leprechaun. I don't know. I just feel like it's a lot better now. What do you think?
Yeah, there was nothing like this. Maybe there were like, ooh, remember those after school specials that like network television would put out?
Mm-hmm.
This made me kind of think about that. Not that they were done in the same way as this movie, but those were like the that kind of bridged like the things you were supposed to watch as an elementary school child with like the things that you could watch when you were older. There just wasn't that much content made for tweens. I mean, tween was like is like a category of childhood invented after we were that age,
Yeah,
right?
I feel like just after. You know who I think did it was Lizzie McGuire. What do you think?
Okay. Yes. And like Hannah Montana. Wait, was Lizzie McGuire, is that, what's her name?
Hillary Duff.
Hilary Duff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she's like quite a bit younger than me.
So I feel like my little sister, who is 3 years younger than me, was just on like the upper age edge of the Lizzie McGuire audience. So that's really for me when I feel like the whole tween thing started, and then you're right, it exploded with Hannah Montana and a ton of those other Disney series like the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody or whatever. But now, once again, I'm speaking about something I know nothing about because it was after my time and before I started having kids.
Would you ever watch this alone voluntarily?
Maybe I would YouTube the music videos. Those were fun. I don't know
Yeah.
that I would sit through the movie by myself, but again, I don't really think that there's any need to. How about you?
I would not watch this alone, partly because it's like just in a really sweet spot for my 10-year-olds. This is great for them and me to enjoy together because everybody can enjoy it. Nobody's like suffering through it. But in the collection of Disney movies that fall into this category, I really liked Better Nate Than Ever a lot better than this movie. And I would watch that one alone voluntarily.
Yeah. Oh, now you're just talking about it. You're making me want to do it. All right. So that makes a good segue to 10 seconds on whether or not this is good for our kids. You watched it with the twins?
I did, and they both were into it. I'm not sure if Tony had watched it, he probably would have been fine with it. He's a little bit more sensitive, so I don't know. I think if I'm the one who had the problem with the dead dad, not my kids. So no, it's fine for kids.
That's the reason
like,
why you wouldn't watch it alone voluntarily. It gives you too
yeah.
many feels. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that is the big caveat, right? And talking about whether or not someone should feel comfortable watching this with their kids is whether or not they feel comfortable with the dead parent angle. But again, if you don't feel comfortable with that, what are you watching? Because I feel like that is such a staple of children's movies, television, books, all the things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I will agree with you. Jay is only 8, but I feel like he was a great age to watch this with as well. Kenny has a super high tolerance for music numbers, and he also loves a good dance sequence, so even he could enjoy those parts. I don't know that he really paid much attention to the plot beyond that, but again, he is
Mm-hmm.
only 5.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he was scarred by it. So I don't think, I mean, as long as your kids are familiar with the basic Disney canon in which every parent is dead, I think have at it. You don't really need to
Right.
worry about it being bad for a 5-year-old.
Right.
Ratings?
I was gonna rate it higher, but then when I compare it to Better Nate Than Ever, I think I'm gonna give
Aw.
it a 3.75.
All right, well, I'm giving it a 4. The only reason I'm not rating it higher is because there are others on the recent Disney Channel original movie list that you know I liked more. And I just like gave Barbie a 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is, yeah. Ooh, ratings are hard.
Yeah, they are hard. I'm saying 4, but I'm thinking, should I go 4.5? Maybe I'll go 4.25. And then between your 3.75 and my 4.25, we'll land on an even 4.
That sounds right.
Okay, so we can't totally abandon our 5-star system, but it's becoming increasingly clear to us that the system is maybe useless because our criteria are so loosey goosey. So let's just do a straight up or down, see it or skip it. Deborah, what do you think?
I'd see it.
Yeah, see it. All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of It's My Screen Time Too. If you enjoyed our show today, please share it with someone you think might enjoy it too. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and oh my gosh, do I have to say X?
Oh no. Skip it.
Okay. You can find us on social media at My Screen Time 2 or send an email to myscreentime2@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your show or movie suggestions, article recommendations, or general comments about the show. Our website is myscreentime2.com. Our theme music was composed and performed by Deborah and her adorable children, and our podcast is produced by me, Katie. You can hear more from us on our other podcast, Spock Talk, where we discuss the life and legacy of Dr. Benjamin Spock. Tune in next time for more real talk about the movies and TV we watch with our kids because we have to, and sometimes because we like to. Bye!